Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Tanya June Moore here live at the Sedona International Film Festival 2016. And we have an award winner with us today. Congratulations.
Thank
Please
you.
introduce yourself and the title of your movie, which I love.
Okay,
So-
thank you. My name is Matt Cooper, and our film is called "Is That a Gun in Your Pocket?" Question mark.
Question
dot,
mark.
Dot, dot, question mark.
Right. So let's talk. Well, what's the film about? Let's start there.
It is about a small town in Texas, a fictional town, where all of the women band together to withhold sex from all the men until they get rid of every gun in town. So that's what it's about.
And it's a comedy.
It's a comedy.
So, congratulations on your award. I just
Thank
have so
you.
many questions, but somebody told me, a little bird told me that you had an original title that had to be changed.
Someone told you that?
Yeah. So
Like
can you go into that?
The power of the.
Well, I don't know. I was just told that there was some threats or something, and you had to change the
Oh,
title.
no. What we did was in pre-production, we had our social media sites going, and when we started talking about what the film was about, we received a bunch of threats.
Oh.
So, and very nasty emails. So we took it down because I was very concerned that some of the actors. I didn't want people showing up on the set and either stopping our production or harming somebody. So we took down all our social media.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's intense, to say the least.
Yeah.
How's it feel to be at the Sedona International Film Festival and knowing that you're an award winner now?
The festival's great. It has exceeded my expectations, and this is actually the premiere of our film. We had not shown it. We had a cast and crew screening back in L.A., but this is the first public screening of the film, and everybody's been terrific. And I also want to give a shout out to the festival because we've run into some resistance from people because we made a comedy on such a serious subject.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt very strongly in the writing stage. I wanted a comedy, give people little, vegetables with their candy,
Right.
So taking a serious subject matter and with a comedic tone, I felt was the best way to spark debate, and discussion.
And what is the social undertone? What is it that you're trying to get across to a crowd?
For me, it's really that we need sensible gun control. This film goes a lot further. It's basically they want to eliminate all the guns in this town. So I just felt that if you start with that premise, you'll have a discussion and maybe you'll end up somewhere in the middle. Something sensible.
Is it getting laughs where you wanted it to get laughs?
Yes, it's getting a tremendous response. It's fantastic.
When you saw and I asked this of everybody, when you saw the final product, when it finally was out there, and you're like, yeah, this is going to get exactly what I want out of it, was that the feeling?
I find as a filmmaker, it's very hard for me to sit back and relax and take it in. When the laughs come where I intend them, I'm like, yes, that's what I thought would happen. When they don't happen, I'm kind of like, well, I wonder why that didn't happen, why that didn't laugh. And sometimes in certain screenings, they'll laugh at a certain line and they won't. And in the next screening, they'll laugh at that line. Mm-hmm. And I was a stand-up comedian many years ago. So I'm kind of used to that, where you think something's funny and to one crowd they'll laugh and to another crowd they won't. So for me, I'm watching it and I feel mostly satisfied, but you still see those moments where you think, I should have cut this differently. I should have, So that's
You're
the
not
hardest
alone.
part. Yeah, no, I'm sure.
Is there a favorite moment in the film that just that's the part I love the most?
I have a few, but there's some moments with Cloris Leachman where she says some, just very outlandish, obscene things. And I know the crowd's going to go crazy, hearing these things out of a 90-year-old woman. And, that's terrific. And there are also some very heartwarming moments where, you feel good, and emotional. And those are very gratifying also. So it's not just the laughs, it's the heart.
How did you get Cloris Leachman involved in this?
She said to me, I just wanted to say this phrase, which I can't say.
Right.
You know, so
Sounds like her.
yeah, I'm just dying to say that, and she was, yeah, she
Was she as much fun to work with as we all? I think that she would be a fun person to work with.
she's a lot of fun and it takes a lot of energy,
Yeah.
you know, because she's on her own path.
Yeah.
I think you get to a certain age and you're like, I really don't care. I have no rules. You know, I've lived this long. I can say whatever the hell I want
Good
when
for
I
her.
want. Yep.
Good for her.
Yep.
Oh, when am I going to get there?
Yeah.
Right.
Me too.
You know, what have been the audience questions? Have there been any questions that have surprised you, or any observations that have surprised you here at this film festival?
Not really. I think this crowd may be a little more liberal than I had anticipated. You know, I just we all have our prejudices, our biases, or our preconceived notions. You know, when you
Right.
think of Arizona,
Yeah.
you know, Sedona obviously is very different than wherever Sheriff Joe is located. So this it was interesting. I was very surprised by the overwhelming warm response and how politically motivated the audience was. Because I really didn't set out to make a political film. It was, like I said, it was just supposed to be an undertone. The movie really is about how men and women relate to each other. That's really what it's about. And you could have taken gun control, it could have been war, it could have been nuclear power, it could have been any issue. You'd still have the same exact movie. But, you know, people really kind of gravitated to the gun issue as well.
Right.
So,
So this was no. So this was the premiere.
yeah.
Where is it that people out there that are watching and will be watching this interview, where can they catch up with this and
Well,
and
we're-
keep up with your?
We're working on that right now, actually. You know,
Okay.
we're trying to field. We have a few offers, and we're trying to field that and figure out what the best way to get it out there is,
Okay.
where the most people see it.
And if they look up, if they Google, "Is that a gun in your pocket?"
If is that a gun in your pocket movie, it'll come up. Or even in IMDb, if you put "Is that a gun in your pocket," it'll come up with, I think, 2015
Okay.
is when we finished photography. So
Okay. All right. Well, I do want to open it up to some questions out here.
sure.
Elliot.
I've got a question for you. So, you've probably heard before, was this based off Liz Estrada, the play, and Spike Lee made a similar type of film. Yours
Right.
is different in its own right, but how have you kind of handled that, or making a movie and someone else is doing something similar?
Yeah.
I mean, it can be really tough and
Oh yeah.
deflating, so how do you handle that?
Yeah. How do you handle with it being similar to what Spike Lee's doing?
It was kind of tough at first. His film, from what I understand, I haven't seen it, is it's a very faithful rendition. It actually has a character named Liz Estrada. A lot of it is in verse, some of it's musical. So I think that's different. Mine, really, the only similarity between Liz Estrada and my film is the withholding of sex for a cause.
Okay.
That's really it. I wrote this film 19 years ago, the first draft, so it took all that time to get to the screen. I was kind of surprised by, you know, all these years. I thought somebody is gonna have to do. I mean, this is so ripe for this kind of a film. And there have been other films. I guess there was a film in Miami in the early 90s that was a similar film. I heard about that because they were suing Spike Lee. So I was like, oh my God, there's another one. And there have been actually real life
Films.
sex strikes. One in Liberia, I think in Colombia and Brazil. So I don't know if I answered your question. I got,
Thank you.
Kind of bouncing off on that, what is it that, because, you know, Liz Estrada was written about 3,000 years ago, so what do you think it is about that story and that frame of, like, women withholding sex that continues to be adapted over the millennia?
So, what do you think about
it's the most powerful thing in the world. You know, I mean, it
women
just.
withholding sex?
I
There we
think
go.
that's, yeah. I mean, now I'd settle for just a female president would be good enough for me. You know, let them run the country. It's time. but I think that that's just it's just a powerful tool. You know, it just is.
Some might even say it's the most powerful tool.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, but it's obviously it's fictional, but it does resonate. I think certainly with men. You know, we're kind of built that way. So I don't know if that helps. Yeah.
Actually, it's a two-part question. First off, since you have such a serious subject like gun control, which is the underlying thing,
Right.
how do you think you're going from a subject like taking away guns to gun control? How do you think that conversation is going to happen? And also, do you think, the second part of the question is do you think that in a situation like comedy, with all this political correctness and stuff, with people being offended, what's your take on that?
We've had a lot of people offended by it. I wouldn't say a lot. There have been some, and there has been some resistance to even getting into festivals. You know, that's why I was saying I'm so happy about Sedona. I was like, finally, you know, somebody with a sense of humor. No, it's true, and I get that it's a very serious subject, and you know, especially listen, if you are a parent that lost somebody in Newtown, you don't really want to see a comedy, especially the setup of our inciting incident is a school shooting, but nothing, you know, I don't want to say anything, but I don't want to give it away, but it is a school shooting. So I think if you're somebody who has been a victim of, you know, gun violence, you might find it a little,
Might bristle.
yeah, or it's kind of like in Life is Beautiful. A lot of people were very offended that there's this kind of a comedy in a concentration camp. You know, I get it, but I just felt another documentary is not going to work. Hitting people over the head and telling them you have to do this is not going to work. I felt that if you started with such an outrageous premise, getting rid of all the guns, you're going to get people talking and say, okay, well, we're not going to get rid of all the guns, but, you know, maybe there's a point here. Maybe we need to get rid of assault weapons. You know, I think politically, if you had a movement that said we're getting rid of all the guns, you know, the greatest nightmare of you know, certain people who are gun owners, I think if you started and that was like a serious movement, you would get a lot of compromise. You know, you'd get people say, okay, well, you know, we'll have background checks. And I find what's really interesting to me is that only 6 or 7% of gun owners in the United States are NRA members, and 75% of the NRA supports expanded background checks. So I mean, even they're not as it's not as a black and white issue as
we
people make it out to be.
Well, the media is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think the leadership of the NRA they are that way,
Right.
but you know, they represent gun manufacturers, so of course they're gonna do that.
Well,
Sure.
As far as comedic timing goes, how do you prepare? Because I know you have done stand-up in the past. Comedy's really hard to do well. So do you research other comedic films and look at their timing? How do you go about
how do you
that?
prepare for comedy?
Yeah. You better cast people who have good comedic timing. That's really what it comes down to. In terms of other films, the films that I discussed with my department heads, you know, my DP, my production designer, were In and Out, and a film called Cold Turkey, which goes way back, I think 1969 or 70, something like that, 1970, directed by Norman Lear. It's a town where everybody has to give up smoking in order to get $1 million. That was very wacky. That was tonally different. But it's, you know, it was taking a comedy to a kind of a serious subject. In terms of timing, the hardest thing to accomplish in a film like this is tone, and keeping that going throughout, because there are lines. There are always lines. You know, when is it okay to make fun of something? When is it okay to use a 4-letter word? When is it okay to have, you know, sex? There's certain moments in the film that if I were a fairly conservative person and I had a teenage daughter or son, and there's certain things in our movie, I'd be like, So there are lines, and some of that comes down to editing. You know, how long are you going to leave that hand in the crotch? You know, it really is those things, and we had those conversations. We need to cut a second out of that. We need to cut 2 seconds out of that. That's more tone. Timing, man, oh man, I don't know. I just think it's a gift that some people have and some people don't. And when you watch the film, you know, you can see it. You can see there's some very funny moments, and I'll give you one where one of the guys, Horatio Sands, is being sexted by his wife. They're kind of teasing, and all the guys are, you know, hearing this text, and everybody is like in shock because it's very explicit. And the one guy looks over and goes, "Is that the new iPhone?" You know, it's just the timing of it, and it's very funny. And yeah.
Well, we want to say congratulations
Thank
on
you
all
so
your
much.
success,
Thank you.
especially here, because
Yeah.
they loved it here.
It's been great.
And please come back to Sedona. We'd
I
love to
come
have
back
you
to
back.
visit. I love it. I've been here 5 or 6 times already.
Great. Well, we
Yeah.
love having you back.
I know. I love it.
Wonderful. And is that a gun in your pocket movie on Google? So that'll get you guys
Get
out there
us
to
to
see
the-
some trailers.
Right, social media. Yeah, we have
Yeah.
a trailer up on YouTube, and
So thank you so much.
thank you guys. Appreciate it.